Live-action Fantastic Four films have been made by several studios with varying results. Some have been quite successful, while others have been complete failures. The Fantastic Four films have been incredibly diverse over time, as have their casts, as we'll see. Fantastic Four 2005 wasn't the first film adaptation of this superhero group. It turns out that Fantastic Four was previously produced in the 1990s by Constantin Film. Production began in 1992 and was scheduled for a 1994 release, but was ultimately cancelled. However, an illegal version of the film leaked and can be viewed on certain websites. Fantastic Four 1994 tells the origins of the Fantastic Four and their feud with Dr. Doom. In terms of character, Reed Richards, or Mr. Fantastic, is known as a genius scientist who can stretch his body into various shapes and sizes. In the 1995 film Fantastic Four, this figure was played by Alex Hyde White, with a classic and simple approach, portraying a calm, rational, and responsible leader. This version was very limited in terms of technology and narrative space, but it laid the foundation for the iconic character's early visuals. The character of Susan Storm, or Invisible Woman, underwent the most significant development in terms of her portrayal of power and emotional depth. In the 1995 film Fantastic Four, Rebecca Staab portrayed Susan, a character who was still heavily dependent on Reed Richards and tended to be portrayed as a supporting character. Johnny Storm, or the Human Torch, was a flamboyant and energetic character, always bringing life to the Fantastic Four team. Jay Underwood portrayed Johnny in the first film, portraying him with a classic teenage spirit and curiosity. Ben Grimm, or The Thing, is known for his strong, stone-like physique and fierce temper, but he is actually the softest of the four members of the Fantastic Four. Carl Ciarfalio was the first actor to portray him in 1995, with an approach that was still limited by prosthetic costumes and practical effects. This character is portrayed as Reed Richards' true friend, despite his inner conflict due to his transformation into a stone creature. This film became the first officially released Fantastic Four adaptation. Fantastic Four 2005 was directed by Tim Story and produced by 20th Century Fox. Ioan Gruffudd took over the role of Reed Richards in this film, with a more emotional and modern approach, adapted to the film's lighter and more colourful tone. Then for the character of Susan Storm, this time played by Jessica Alba, who gave a more modern and independent interpretation of the character of Susan, with powers that were not only defensive, but also offensive. And the character of Johnny Storm was given to Chris Evans, who played Johnny very charismatically and became a new icon thanks to his humorous and fiery personality, both literally and emotionally. And Michael Chiklis as Ben Grimm, who managed to bring the human side of the Thing to life with a performance full of pain, humor, and honesty. The film also featured Dr. Doom as the main villain, played by Julian McMahon. Fantastic Four 2005 continues the origin story of the Fantastic Four team, with a few changes here and there to provide a breath of fresh air for the first film adaptation released. Despite some criticism, the film was a critical success, grossing $333.5 million. The success of Fantastic Four 2005 prompted 20th Century Fox to create a sequel. Finally, 2 years later, they released Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer 2007. This film continued the story of the Fantastic Four's struggle to protect Earth. This time, they faced a powerful cosmic entity called the Silver Surfer, also known as Doug Jones, and Galactus. The cast from the first film reprised their roles in this film. Unfortunately, this second film also received much criticism, particularly for the quality of the CGI and several aspects that deviated significantly from the comics. However, the film was still profitable, with Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer grossing $301.9 million. 20th Century Fox planned to make a third sequel to this film, but it was ultimately cancelled and the Fantastic Four rebooted. This film is 20th Century Fox's reboot of their Fantastic Four franchise. Directed by Josh Trank, the film has a very different vibe from the previous two. It adapts the 2004 Ultimate Fantastic Four comic book. While still adapting the superhero team's origin story, the story is very different. As for the cast, Miles Teller plays Reed Richards, who portrays a younger version of Reed with the approach of a brilliant young scientist, but is less socially mature. Kate Mara plays Susan Storm in a more intellectual version, but has received criticism for its lack of emotional exploration. Michael B. Jordan plays Johnny in a more emotional and serious version, but has also sparked controversy due to the racial differences compared to the previous version. Jamie Bell plays Ben Grimm, who utilizes CGI to present a more realistic version of the Thing, although his interactions with the team are noticeably colder. The film was considered a complete failure, earning the lowest grossing of all the Fantastic Four films ever produced. The story and casting were also heavily criticized. Since the inception of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or MCU, many have been hoping for the Fantastic Four. Unfortunately, this has been hampered by the licensing rights held by 20th Century Fox. However, in 2019, Disney finally purchased the studio, allowing the Fantastic Four to join the MCU. This film will not return to the origin story of the previous version, but instead introduces the team directly in a retro-futuristic world set in the 1960s, where they must protect Earth from Galactus, the planet-devouring cosmic being, along with the Silver Surfer as his emissary. In this cast, Pedro Pascal is trusted to play the new version of Reed Richards in this retro-futuristic world, offering mature, charismatic leadership and a readiness to face the cosmic threat that is Galactus. Vanessa Kirby, who plays Susan Storm, is promised to present a strong, emotional, and balanced woman in her role as wife, sister, and important member of the superhero team. Kirby is said to bring a more human and courageous side to this character, thanks to a more mature script and direction. Then there's Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, who stated that he was inspired by Chris Evans' performance, but wanted to bring a more grounded and story-driven interpretation. He combined Johnny's youthful enthusiasm with a more emotionally bonded team dynamic. And Eben Moss-Bachrach, who plays Ben Grimm, utilizes motion capture technology developed intensively with the MCU creative team. Moss-Bachrach even discussed with Mark Ruffalo how to capture Ben Grimm's facial expressions to match the quality of the Hulk in the MCU. With a unique visual approach and a story more integrated into the MCU universe, this film is touted as a turning point for the success of Fantastic Four on the big screen. Well, in our opinion, of all the Fantastic Four films, Reed Richards' character, Pedro Pascal, is fine. Then Susan Storm's character, we like Jessica Alba. Then Johnny Storm's character, for our captain Chris Evans. And Ben Grimm's character is more dashing for young Jamie Bell. For which Fantastic Four character do you think is cooler? Just comment.